Hello, Aurora lovers. I am Dale Bone from Dale Bone Imaging. This is Aurora Hunting 101. This is episode 7. What time of night can I see the aurora? As I discussed in episode 6, you can see the aurora anytime it is full or nearly fully dark. This is astronomical twilight and complete dark. However, the time of night also matters. Our distance to the aurora changes as the Earth rotates. We are closest to the aurora at solar midnight. This is often the best time to see the northern lights. Let's explore this with 2 websites. Okay, first I want to look at what's known as the NOAA Oval, or the 30-minute forecast, although it's usually a few more minutes than that. So this is updated every 5 minutes. It's based on a computer model of where the aurora is likely to be visible based on incoming satellite data. The lead time is about, right now it says about 45 minutes, 46, 47. That varies depending on how fast the solar wind is. If it's really strong, it gets to the Earth faster and you don't have as much lead time for the model. And you can see that it expands and contracts over time as the strength of the solar wind fluctuates. But the important part for the current discussion is if I stop at, I'm going to stop around, I'm going to start up here, about here. So the darker blue is the night side, and lighter blue is daylight. But we have an effect, so this is the North Pole. Well, North Pole is here, but you can see that it's compressed and stretched away from the poles, and that's caused by the solar wind. The solar wind pulls the Earth's magnetic field, which causes the aurora to get pulled south away from the sun. So that's why when the sun is straight north, which is opposite of noon, or more specifically solar midnight, that is the time when the aurora, when you're physically closest to the aurora on average. Obviously it changes over time, so if you were over here and waited 2 hours, then this lowest part of the oval would have swung over to where you are. I don't know if it'll actually do that, but yeah, it shrinks down. But that's the general idea, that wherever you are, generally solar midnight is when you are closest to the oval. There's a couple other complications in there, but since everything changes quite a bit, that's a really good approximation for the best time. Now the question is how to figure that out. We go back to dateandtime.com and go to Sun Calculator. Don't move like that. And put in our location. I'm just going to say Saskatoon. We looked at this in the previous episode. We looked at this cool graph to figure out when it's going to be dark. But we're interested in solar noon and solar midnight. So a long time ago, noon was defined as when the sun is straight south, and everybody set their clocks that way. Problem is, every town and city had its own time. There wasn't really a standardized time. It was based on when the sun was straight south, that was noon. Unfortunately, to try and do business, and especially when they started building railroads, it was nearly impossible to try and develop the schedules. So time zones were invented, which are approximately an hour wide. Unfortunately, they don't always line up with provincial and state borders, so they tend to zigzag around quite a bit. So quite often you can be wildly off of, or at least not wildly, but an hour or more off of solar noon for where you are. And then also daylight savings time was added, which shifts it even more. So where I am in Saskatoon, we're about an hour or a little bit more off of solar times. So solar midnight for me is currently 1:04 a.m. This actually varies a little bit during the year, but right now it's about 1 a.m. So my best time to see the aurora is going to be, say, plus or minus 2 hours, so 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. on average. That's going to be when I'm closest to the oval. You know, it's not a sharp point, it's a very rounded oval, so plus or minus a couple hours is not going to make a big difference. You start getting to 3 and 4 hours, and then you're looking at that oval more from the side, and you probably need stronger aurora to see it. If you go look at a city next to us, Edmonton, Alberta, which is the next province over, the graph starts looking like this because they observe daylight savings time, and you get this break when the clocks get moved forward and then fall back in the fall. So if you look at Edmonton right now, because they're on daylight savings time, they are an hour and a half off of solar noon and solar midnight. So, you know, a little bit later to see the northern lights there if you're going by daylight savings time. If you're not, then they're not. Yeah, like I said, this changes somewhat. You know, sometimes as much as 15-20 minutes through the year. So here they were at 12:44, and then jump at 1:42. That's that 1 hour jump, but the solar noon and midnight actually fluctuates a little bit during the year. But, you know, approximately 1:30 for them during daylight savings time, or 12:30, 12:45 when it's not daylight savings time. That's going to be your best chance to see the northern lights, is around those times. And that's how you can calculate it using timeanddate.com. As we saw, the auroral oval is stretched away from the sun. This means that solar midnight is the time when you are closest to the oval. A few hours around solar midnight is the best time to see the aurora. The oval may change significantly over time, so that is just the best time on average. Stronger displays can be seen earlier and later. Please check out episode 8, How Can I Predict the Clouds? And I'm wishing you clear skies and happy hunting.